Imagine yourself trapped in a prison deep in the snow-covered tundra. The cold wind outside and the distant clanking of metal doors create an eerie atmosphere. Yes, in the freezing cold of Russia, there are some prisons in the remote wilderness that rival even the most terrifying fortresses in their terrifying reality. Black Dolphin, Polar Wolf, Polar Owl and Fire Island. As dramatic as the names sound, they are as real and tragic as they are dramatic. Most of the year, these fortresses are shrouded in perpetual darkness and freezing cold. In winter, the temperature drops to -50 degrees Celsius. This extreme cold freezes even people's breath. Once these prisons engulf those who are swallowed up, the outside world forgets even their names. Some prisoners who have been released by great fortune have recounted how they were made to stand there for hours in the freezing cold. If they moved a little, they would be punished by pouring ice-cold water. And they would be mentally broken by being kept in small cells alone. What is more terrifying is that the punishment here is as cruel as the prisoners here are like ghouls who eat people. Why have they been locked up in such a remote ghostly hell? Let's find out why these prisons in Russia are one of the most terrible prisons in the world and why Russian prisoners are notorious as one of the most terrible prisoners in the world. Black Dolphin, located near the border of Russia and Kazakhstan, is one of the oldest and highest security prisons in the country. About 700 notorious criminals are imprisoned here for life. From murderers to terrorists to cannibals, all kinds of people are here. As soon as new prisoners arrive, they are blindfolded so that they cannot remember the inside passage. Then they are made to walk with their heads bent double from the waist down, while a guard holds the handcuffs high behind them. This inhumane posture is basically a terrible tactic to completely upset the prisoner and subdue him. The prisoners of Black Dolphin are forced to stand upright for about 16 hours every day from dawn to dusk. Sitting or lying down while awake is forbidden, let alone leaning against the wall. The guards patrol frequently to ensure that no one can rest for a moment. They are only allowed to exercise and warm up in an open courtyard like a cage for an hour and a half a day. Even then, the guards seize the opportunity and search their son. Wondering why so much inhuman torture? Because the real fear in this prison lies within the prisoners inside. As an example, let's take the case of a cannibal prisoner, Vladimir Nikolaev. This serial killer named Vladimir Nikolaev killed his victims, cut them into pieces, cooked them, and ate them. What's even more shocking is that he mixed the human flesh with his own family's food and even sold it at the local market. And so, for such cannibalistic murderers, these prisons are the result of their own sins. Now let's go further north to the Polar Wolf Prison, near the Arctic Circle. Although its official name is IK3, its location is so remote and cruel that the prisoners call it the Polar Wolf. Located in a snowy remote part of Siberia, this prison does not see the sun for most of the year. The temperature drops below -40 degrees Celsius in winter. And here, harsh punishment means using nature's cruelty against the prisoners. They are made to stand completely still in an open courtyard for 30 to 40 minutes in thin clothes. As soon as they moved, the guards immediately sprinkled ice-cold water and soaked the entire group. Even during the hot summer months, the prisoners in this prison continued to suffer. Then, countless mosquitoes and flies flew around. But even if the prisoners tried to chase them away, the same result would occur. After Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was sent here, he was repeatedly kept in this solitary cell under various pretexts. He spent a total of 283 days in a cell all alone. That solitary confinement of almost 10 months is enough to break a person's heart. Navalny later wrote how the cold boy would be shouted at by the guards in the middle of the night to keep him from sleeping. Music would be played at dawn and he would be punished even at short intervals. And in February 2024, his death occurred in this terrible polar alias prison. To break the prisoners mentally in this prison, an atmosphere of deep distrust and fear is always created among them. As a result, no one here can trust anyone. Many prisoners suffer from extreme psychological trauma when they leave here. Another terrible prison located near the Harp area is Polar Owl. It is one of the 7 special prisons designated for the most dangerous criminals sentenced to life imprisonment. It is almost impossible to escape from this extremely remote prison, which is covered in snow and does not see sunlight for years. Another enemy of the prisoners here is Polar Owl. The conditions of the prisoners are no less than those of the polar wolf. The cold, dark conditions are called coffins of the soul by some. There is no way to escape from the extreme cold. There is no heater in any cell. In some cases, pictures of heaters are painted on the walls to mock them. Many of the prisoners say that the food here is very meager and of poor quality. The surroundings are dirty and the guards beat them up regularly. Several former prisoners have described the unspeakable torture that took place inside Polar Owl after being released. They were kept naked in the cold, electrocuted, brutally beaten, and even sexually assaulted. All of these tortures have one purpose: to crush the prisoner's body as well as his confidence and mental strength. So even if those prisoners are released, they carry the scars of this prison for the rest of their lives. Polar Owl also houses the most ruthless criminals in Russian history. Everyone from serial killers to terrorists are counting their days to death inside. Finally, there is a prison that many call the Alcatraz of Russia. It is a special security prison located on a small island in the middle of a frozen lake in the Vologda region of central Russia. It is surrounded by frozen water. The entire wall of white stone on top, barbed wire and armed guards make it look like Fire Island, an impenetrable fortress, from where it is difficult to even think of escaping. In winter, when the chariot is covered in ice, there is surveillance around the island. About 200 inmates are imprisoned on this small island. In each cell, 3 to 4 people have to be crammed together instead of 2. The toilet is just a bucket, the stench of which is constantly in the air. Human rights organizations have repeatedly condemned the inhumane conditions of this prison.